Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Anthony Hennon. Today we're talking about a very unusual situation within the General Assembly. Joining me today is the Center Square's Pennsylvania editor, Kristen Smith. Kristen, so it looks like Philadelphia Democratic State Representative Kevin Boyle is missing, and not only missing, but technically a fugitive, if that is a fair way to put it. What exactly is going on?
We're recording this as of Thursday morning, and at this point in time, Representative Boyle is still missing. Police in Philadelphia issued an arrest warrant for him Tuesday for violating a protection from abuse order that was filed by his estranged wife 2 years ago. Representative Boyle had his first psychotic episode back in 2021, and he received treatment and won re-election in 2022. Seemed like he had been recovering from this undisclosed mental illness that he's been diagnosed with. Given that, he's started to show symptoms again in the last few months. His brother, the U.S. Congressman Brendan Boyle, released a lengthy statement on X saying all of this and explaining that his brother was supposed to turn himself in, never did, was officially a fugitive on Wednesday, and they were unsure of where he was. And they said that although they've been encouraging him to get treatment, they can't force him. Where this becomes even more unique and strange and unprecedented, really, is how this impacts legislative business in the State House. So obviously he's a state lawmaker. Now, he's not been in session physically for several weeks, and the way that it works in the State House is you can vote by proxy, which is essentially remote voting. It's typically used for when lawmakers have functions or personal events that they have to attend to outside of the Capitol building, but they still have a vote that they want to cast. So you can sign a form, and your party leader can vote on your behalf. So he had done this when his symptoms really started to kick in and be disruptive to his ability to work. And so on Wednesday, when news of his warrant began circulating, there was calls from House Republicans that he should not be allowed to vote by proxy anymore because he's a fugitive. No one knows where he is. It's unethical. Democrats decided that didn't, prevent him from voting by proxy since he had signed that form a few weeks ago. So it's created this situation that the state legislature has really never dealt with before as to how to handle lawmakers with active arrest warrants or with incarceration or in general having a mental health crisis that really impacts their ability to work.
So this seems like some of this drama, confusion, controversy is coming from the fact that, again, the General Assembly, the House has a razor-thin margin for Democrats to control the majority. And, without Representative Boyle's votes, things again get to a point where essentially it's a stalemate. Does this seem to be, this is what's really driving not only the Democrats' interest in keeping him voting by proxy, but also Republicans seeing this as outrageous?
House Republicans certainly say that this is the exact reason why they're doing this, is to protect their razor-thin majority because, as you mentioned, without his vote, they're deadlocked and they can't get anything done. And so because the House has dealt with this very back-and-forth slim majority and the complications, if you will, that it has caused with getting legislative business done, Republicans say that this is Democrats just, acting unethical to protect that majority and get what they want done. Democrats say, basically they're saying that this is political gamemanship and it's shameful given the situation, and that they're more focused on getting Representative Boyle the help that he needs, and that they will deal with this in time in a way that's affirmative and appropriate, though they're not really explaining what that means.
So do we have a sense of what happens when, Boyle turns himself in or the police find him? Does this mean he cannot anymore vote by proxy? Does this just mean, he's voting from potentially a jail cell or after he's bailed out? What does this exactly look like for his official duties, and what effect does that have in the House?
Those are questions that House Democrats would need to change the rules to answer, and that's House Republicans, the crux of the issue, they're saying not only do they need to pass a new rule that says you can't vote by proxy if there's a warrant out for your arrest, but if you're also incarcerated, you shouldn't be able to vote by proxy. As it stands, like I said, there's no rules in place for this specific situation. It's unclear what's going to happen with Representative Boyle once he resurfaces and turns himself in for this warrant. What will be the next public step if he doesn't show up in the next few days is that during the primary election next Tuesday, he has a challenger that state Democrats have backed over him. So whether he wins that primary or he staves off that primary challenge, we'll see. That will require Democrats to deal with the House rules sooner rather than later.
Kristen, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Do you care about classroom curriculum, transparency policies, and how your taxpayer dollars are invested in education, but you find it hard to cut through the partisan noise? Chalkboard News is bringing you straight news reporting on public K-12 education. We're talking news without spin. Chalkboard News publishes fact-based stories that make sense to parents, teachers, and readers who have skin in the game. Get this news delivered to your inbox for free by signing up at chalkboardnews.com. Subscribe today at chalkboardnews.com.